तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ कपिलाय नमस्तस्मै येन विद्योदधो जगतिमग्ने कारुण्यात् साङ्ख्यमयी ध्योरिव विहिता प्रतरणाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः We have seen 26th Karika. In 25th Karika, the transformation of Ahankara that was discussed. There was 11 sense organs. Ekadesha pravartate vaikritad Ahankara. Ahankara has 3 forms: Vaikrita, Taijasa and Bhutati. So Vaikrita Ahankara is Sattika. It's a modification of Sattva. From that Sattvika Ahankara, 11-fold sense organs are produced. Now what are they? Just in 26th Karika, they are named. We already know that. Buddhindriyani and Karmendriyani. So 5 sense organs and 5 motor organs, and then comes mind. So in 27th Karika, mind is identified. Although we all know what mind is, but here we will learn, according to Sankhya, how mind is separated from intellect and ego, Ahankara, and the main function of mind. So that is also mentioned here. Then it will continue with the functions of Indriyas with the outside objects. So we will see 27th Karika. Ubhayatmagamatra manah sankalpagamindriyam cha sadharmyat Magamatra manaha sankalpagamindriyam cha sadharmyat guna parinama visheshat nanatvam bahya bhedat cha guna parinama visheshat nanatvam bahya bhedat cha Ubhayatmakam atra manaha. So mind here in the group of Indriyas, in this context, mind is Ubhayatmaka, possessing of both the natures, or which is connected to both Indriyas of cognition and action. So Ubhayatmakamatra manaha. Why it is such so? Without mind, no Indriya can function. So we need Indriya for the function of any object, but without mind also it cannot perceive anything. So what is said to be the cognition of object, the perception of object is mind only. Therefore, mind, specially we can say mind is connected to objects through indriyas. It's not only thinking process or thought process is a function of mind, but all these thought process come from this connection of indriyas. Therefore, mind is a mediator or an agent which is connecting each object to indriyas and getting its sensation through that. So this agency of mind is called cognition of object, or perception is, we can say perception of the outside object. So ubhayatmakam, therefore it is said ubhayatmakam. And the same thing regarding mind, when we see in Yoga Sutra, the mind and intellect and other functions are differentiated very well there. There also, this mind is said to be the same as the agent of indriyas. The ubhayatmakam manaha. Sankalpakam indriyam cha sadharmyat. And what mind does is sankalpakam. Mind has sankalpa. So what is sankalpa? Sankalpa is assimilation, we can say, or the reflection of an object which is identified. The identification of an object. When we see an object outside, the next Karika we will see that the sense organ will generally give the idea or just a general reflection of that object. It will not identify the object. The identification done by this agent mind. How we can understand that? If you see, when we see outside, when we look at outside objects, there are so many objects because those objects are reflected in eyesight. But out of many objects, we perceive only one or two. It means where the mind is concentrated, focused, that object is perceived. Other objects are just reflected, but there is no perception of the object. Similarly, without applying mind, we will not know the object exactly what it is. For that example, we can see when we see this, what is spread over here. So we are seeing for many days. But if somebody asks what design it is, and which color or what design and how it is round or square or a triangle or we will not remember that. Although we were seeing it for many days we are continuously seeing, but that is not seen actually. So this is the difference. We generally know there is an object, there is something spread over, some carpet is spread over there, and it has some design. But what the design is, how it is, if somebody say reproduce that design which you saw there, we cannot do it. So this is the problem with the applying mind, because we are not applying mind completely. We generally grasp and then go. Why it happens? because that is not useful. Now, just now I mentioned it. You may see after, before going what design it is. But otherwise, you will not see. So, in many, I am told that many of interviews, the interviewers there ask such questions. So, how concentrated the the candidate is? No, so they cannot say. They just say, okay, something was there. So, this is very special, especially in armed army. They need such things. When you go there, you have to understand what is happening there. It's a special investigation. The mind should investigate and correctly understand. So this applied part of mind is missing, or you can say we don't want, there is no need. So then what we perceive is called general perception. Next Karika, we will learn that, alochana. So the indriyas bring general perception or general reflection of an object. The identification, specification and the usage of the object is done by mind. So that is what sankalpa means here. Sankalpa is not a desire or anything like that. Here in this context, sankalpa means desire, definite object which is perceived, and then it connects with the previous experiences. So that is sankalpa here. So generally we know sankalpa means desire, and assertion also sankalpa is there. So differentiation also reflective and deliberately knowing what it is. Now here we are not deliberately knowing what it is. We know it, it is there. But the clarity is not there. So after you practice meditation and concentration, and then you experience the presence of mind. We are using the mind. Without mind we can't do anything. But in fact we are not experiencing the mind. We are not aware about the applied part of mind. Mind is just working and bringing all this effect, and we are enjoying it. That's okay. But applied part is very important for sadhana. So this we will learn elaborately Yoga Sutra, because Yoga Sutra is completely talking about mind. But here it is mentioned as sankalpakam. And indriyam cha sadharmyas. It says the mind is also a sense organ, inner sense organ. Why he says this, indriyam cha? He wants to clearly state this mind is also an indriyam. Because there is different opinions about mind. Some philosophers say, some schools of philosophy say, mind is not an indriya. It is not an indriya. But it is karanam. It is an instrument, but it is not indriya. Now you will ask, what is the difference between the instruments? So they have technical things. They say, indriya means bahya vishaya grahana yogyam indriya. Indriya means they give this definition, which perceives objects outside. That is called indriya. Outside objects, which perceives outside object is called indriya. Like all other indriyams, ear, eye, and touch and everything perceives outside objects. So it is called indriya. So bahya vishaya grahanarthakam indriyam. So bahya vishaya grahanarthakam indriyam, this is defined. So in this definition, mind cannot be indriya. So according to this definition, because mind is not perceiving outside object. Mind is experiencing, or mind is having the knowledge of what the sense organs bring. It It is not directly connecting with the object. Therefore, it is not called indriya, but it is an organ, it is an instrument through which we know it. So it is more connected to knowledge than the objects. The knowledge process, the thought process, which the sense organ brings through mind. So that is called mind. So whatever we know from how we hear the sound, if we know mind is there, the sensation is called mind. And then after the sensation, we have the experience according to the object. So each object, we have different sensation, and we can differentiate the sensations. So this process, sense organs cannot do. The indriyas cannot do. Only mind can do it. So therefore, mind is not indriya. That is what they argue. But here it is stated, mind is also an indriya. The reason is sadharmyat. Mind and other indriyas, they have the same common source. From where it comes? Indriyas come out of ahankara, and mind is also there. Therefore, they have the same source or same origin. Therefore, mind is also indriya. So sadharmyat means they have the homogeneous characteristics, or because they have the common origin from ahankara. Therefore, mind should be indriya. So this is argued here, because in Vedanta, like we have Vedanta Paribhasha and other textbooks, so they also argue with this point. Mind is not indriya, mind is only instrument, karana. So therefore it is stated here. After this 2-3 karika, we will again see mind as karanam, so trividham karanam. So when we use the word karanam, it means indriya, instrument. And when we say indriya, it is sense organ. So that is the difference. The same thing, and then two different words we use to communicate that from different viewpoint. So this is when we say this is an instrument. This is an instrument. It's purely an instrument. It cannot be an indriya. But sometimes indriyas can be instrument, and first they are instrument, then they become indriya. So because how it is instrument? Because we see outside object and take the reflection from that. That is why it is instrument. So this is the higher level of philosophy. We have all these problems. So but here, see very clear. It should be indriyam and sadharmyat. Ahankara is its sources from ahankara. So all these 11 in one group, that is called sense organs, including mind. Now, guna parinama visheshad nanatvam bahya bhedat. Now, mind has many functions. Similarly, the sense organs. If they are coming from the same source, from ahankara, then how they are differentiated? So the answer is given here. As we already know, we already did this. Guna parinama visheshat. The manifoldness or differences in transformation. So guna parinama of these three gunas, they transform in different forms. So we have different indriyas functioning differently, and they are getting their respective objects. The reason is their parinama is different. So parinama visheshad nanatvam. And Bahya Bhedascha. It says not only this, we can add one more reason to it. We have 5 type of objects. So Bahya Bhedascha. The 5 types of objects are perceived respectively by each Indriya. So therefore, they are different. Not because of their source is different. The source is the same, but they are different in this way. Now, one point we can see here, one observation with our sadhana. Each object, each sense organ brings an object. So mind gets that object, and getting that object, mind is doing sankalpa. It means mind is determining that object and then experiencing it. It all goes together. So perceiving itself is not experience. After perceiving, there is something happening after that. Then the experience comes. Perceiving is a process. The process we will learn in the next Karika, the 30th Karika, we will learn this process. So after this, once the process is complete, then mind gets the experience with the previous experience connected to it. So this special part connecting to the previous experience is the experience what we are having. Because object is not suggesting any experience. That is fine, no? When we see something, it is not suggesting you should love it or you should hate it, no. Or you experience happiness or sorrow, nothing. The object is not suggesting anything. Then how we experience both this, good and bad. So this good and bad experience is because of mind. Because mind has the collection of information already experienced. And when it gets a new an experience as new, it brings to and connect to the previous experience. Then if that person is liking the new experience, which is already in the same form. So there are models, no, but we can say model experiences. So that model experience is connected. So then the person thinks this is okay for me. Because he or she had similar experience with the similar object. Only we can say similar object. The similarity is there. The same object is not experienced twice. You know this theory? We can only experience once an object once. If you repeatedly see an object, each time when you see, you are seeing different object, but the similarity continues. So because of that similarity, you think that you are experiencing the same object. But object, the form of the object and everything is same. It is not something indefinite. The form of object outside is the same, but experience is not the same. Therefore, at first sight you have a different experience. First sight you have a very happy and very loving experience. And the same object, after 1 hour after a gap, if you see and experience, it changes. And after a long time, it again changes. And not only decreasing, sometimes increasing also. The first sight you are not liking so much, but after that you got some more information about that. You came to know that this object is more useful for my, it is more useful for me. So then you may have more connection, and then the happiness or sorrow both can increase. But the same degree of this happiness or suffering cannot be brought by the same object. That is for sure. Now, why this happens? The reason is mind. Mind has this quality. And mind will not keep the same thing and repeat. Mind has the special nature to always change, because it is keep on changing. Why this mind is changing? The sense organs, eyesight and ear and all those, this 5 sense organ has no change, because they are just working materially. It's like a camera is working. When you flash the light, camera take the picture, because camera has nothing to do with the object. It is not taking the good or bad of the object. It is only flashing the light and reflecting the colors, no, the frame there, and then that's all. That is the duty of camera. Similarly, the eyesight. We have lenses, like camera has lenses. We are also having lenses there. So this side, the object, the frame is reflected in the eyesight, and that will happen the same. There is no reason why we should say there is some change in that. But the perceiving inside, the experience inside, always various, always differ from each other. So this is the role of mind. If we know this, it is very useful for our sadhana, that when we see something very attracted, so the same time we can be aware that the attraction will change next. Whatever you do, even with your full interest in that, it will also change. It can increase or decrease. Therefore, after if I repeat the same word and same sentence for half an hour, you will get bored and get up and go. So what he is talking about. So it means even though you are interested, but you are not interested in same thing, because mind cannot apply that. It's very difficult. No, this is the sankalpa here. So you see how much role it has. Now, after this, after once the mind is experienced a particular object, it gives importance to that if it is very useful. It is worth remembering or worth keeping it, then the mind will remember it and keep it for longer memory. Why? Because the mind thinks it is useful. If I keep it, sometimes later again I can use it, because it is very helpful for maintaining the body mind constitution, this body, this person itself. Because mind is working like a dedicated manager. He is managing everything, sense organs working, and therefore it will apply this special concentration there. If it is useful or worth keeping, then it may go to long time memory. And for that, there should be some emotion added into this. Not just seeing, dry, you will not, mind will not get, because mind is working, mind is getting energy from emotions. So emotion, all kind of emotions. So it is getting from, it is working through that. If there is no emotion, it is dull. Then mind becomes dull, and it doesn't like to be engaged in objects from which it is not getting any kind of emotions. So if the emotion is there and the mind thinks it is useful, and definitely it will keep for longer memory. And this longer memory, which is kept for a longer time or for from many births, we have this samskara, the bundle of this memories, habits, and whatever we say. So these samskaras are there, and the vasanas, all those are there, because this is all connected to our taste. And from those vasanas, we will have new birth, according to that. Because now we have to use all those vasanas. So mind has kept all this there for our future use. So now we have to take another birth to use them, until you get liberated from this process of this sense organs and all those samsaras, and till then you will have this kind of birth. So this is the role of mind here. Sankalpa and Indriya and all those. Now, the 28th Karika, the functions of Indriyas described. Shabdadishu panjanam alochana matramishyade vrittihi. वचनादान विहरणोत्सर्ग आनंदाश्च पंचानाम वचनादान विहरणोत्सर्ग आनंदाश्च पंचानाम शब्दादिषु पंचानाम आलोचन मात्र मिश्यते वृत्तिः. The common function of all these 5 sense organs is called alochanam. Alochanam, a simple reflection or simple apprehension. So whatever we can say is very common, very general observation. So shabdadishu panchana, in respect to sound and the others, all 5, touch, taste, smell. Alochana matra mishyate, observe only the general knowledge of what we see there. Vrittihi means function, modification. So this is the general function of sense organs. Just now I explained it. After this function of sense organ, when it goes through mind, we get the perception of that particular object. So alochanam, it is called alochanam. Although in Sanskrit alochanam means thinking. It is like that. But here the alochanam means not thinking. So observation simply, and we can find a word in English to translate the inner meaning of that. Therefore we have to depend on sentence by translation. So the mere observation of things or simple reflection, it can be said like that. It is not free of doubt. It is not nothing with the doubt, but we cannot decide. Like if somebody asks what you saw, what it is, it cannot be said, because it is not registered in the mind. Only it is reflected. So you cannot find what you saw and then. And this indeliberate or this common sensation is called nirvikalpa perception. We have a nirvikalpa samadhi, that is different. Nirvikalpa samadhi means there is nothing. There is no vikalpas, no objects. So here it is, in this perception is also, there is no object. Object is not identified. So after seeing, identification was not done. In this situation it is called alochana. So I can say I saw it, but I don't remember what it is. So this is the situation. If mind remember, then you have seen it. Actually, you have grasped it. And what you saw, why you say so? Because I was there, and the light was there, and my eyes were open, and I suppose I had seen it. So this way you assume that you had seen it, but actually it is not happened. The seeing process is not there. So this is very difficult to understand, but they understood it correctly, because scientifically this is how it happens. First you have a reflection, then you have perception. So the general reflection is called alochana. So this only you can see in this Sankhya philosophy, this concept of indriyas, because they did good research on this indriya and outside objects and mind and this connection and the functions of that, because they are creating the whole world out of this. So therefore they have done a good research on this. People did PhD only on this, the perception in Sankhya. I have one book on that. So how different, so much they did research on this. So how they say about this. So modification, alochana matram ishyate vrittihi. So, and then other fives, we can take other karmendriyas. Other fives, they have, this is 5 of the shabdadis, the sense organs. Now the motor organs, the karmendriyas, have these 5 kinds of functions. That is speech, vachana, speech is a function, and holding, adana holding with hands, and locomotion, so that is viharana, so you walk, walking, and excretion of discharging the waste, and pleasure and gratification is called ananda. And this discharging of waste we say as utsarga. Utsarga can be in many forms. It's not in one form, it is in different form. So like if it is something is discharged from the nose, that is also discharging, and the waste is discharged from the ear, that is also discharging. So from eye, this is also discharging. So the payu, this is not only discharging the waste, but also from all other parts of the body. Even sweating is also discharged. So this way they understand this. This is the karmendriyas. Now of 5 sense action, panchamam. So the translation is there. And now you see here the word ananda is used. There is one point in that. This ananda, normally what we translate is happiness or joy. That is what we translate. But in Sanskrit, ananda, this dhatu, the root of this ananda comes from different dhatus. So one root says it is joy, nanda, the joys. And another root says it is tunadi samruddhau. There is another root. Tunadi samruddhau. Samruddhi means prosperity. Prosperity and gratification, satisfaction is all called samruddhi. So you are satisfied. It means you have whatever you need, you have it. So this is also called ananda. So here it is not only joy, but we take as a samruddhi, because the organ of generation, after the son or their children is born, they are satisfied. So they have a happy life, the family life like that. So in that sense it is too, because his son is also considered as a wealth. In the olden time, the son is also wealth, that ananta. So the putra janma, the birth of son, is an object of, or is an object of ananda. So anandat, it comes in another Upanishad also. So the ananda is connected that way. In Aitreya Upanishad also it is there. So it is not only enjoyment, physical enjoyment or sexual enjoyment, but also the samriddhi with all this, whatever you get. Because if you get a good a glass of water, you will be satisfied with that water. You got the water. So this is also ananta. So in that sense it comes there. But when we say with the karmendriya, this is karmendriyas only, mainly we take the organ of generation, but not only that. With other karmendriyas also the pleasure can be created. So from the different root we take different meaning. So this is an observation, and now it is continuing with the discussion of sense organs and ahankara. Swalakshanyam vrististrayasya sesha bhavatya samanya. Swalakshanyam vrittistrayasya sesha bhavatya samanya. Samanya karana vritti pranadya vayava pancha. Now, little more identification of inner instruments, intellect, ego and mind. And then says swalakshanyam vrittihi trayasya. These three here it means not only three, but also the other sense organs. So three we have: buddhi, ahankara and mana. So these three have their own functions as swalakshanya. So their definitions itself is their function. So definition itself is function. That is called vrittihi. Vritti means the functions. Swalakshanya means their definitions. So the condition of having specific definitions and distinctive characteristics. So that distinctive characteristic itself is their function. It's already defined. So we defined ahankara, we defined buddhi, defined mind. So that definition, that manaha sankalpakam, so we defined abhimano ahankaraha, adhyavasayo buddhihi. So these are the definition given. And that definition is the function of all these three. So their definition and function is the same. Sometimes definition may be different and function may be different. So in this case it is not so. Swalakshanyam trayasya vritti. Sesha bhavati asamanya. And that functions, that vritti is like asamanya. It is common to all this. So the common vritti and asamanya uncommon. So this uncommon, why we say each has its own function, and that function is happening in a particular way. It is not connected to other. If you want to differ one object or one element from other, we have to apply some special activity. Why it is different from other? So this special activity is the definition of this three. That is already stated. Now it says asamanya sesha bhavati. So that function itself is a special characteristics, uncommon characteristics of each one. Why it is said? To distinguish what is buddhi, what is ahankara and what is mind. When we see the function or when we are thinking, it comes together. They all come together. Three come together, no? We cannot differentiate where the ahankara and how the buddhi is working, we cannot differentiate. In single thought process, all the three are working together, therefore it is difficult to distinguish their functions. This is the situation we are experiencing. Now this Karika says, but you can differentiate, and you must differentiate if you want to contemplate on that. So differentiate in this way and knowing their own function as their characters. So now manaha sankalpakam. So mind has this function we already have discussed. And we know this. And abhimana ahankara. So abhimana is there. Adhyavasayo assertion is buddhi. So these characters we have to find from a single thought. So this is what it is said, asamanya sesha buddhi. So their uncommon function is also the same. So this is regarding mainly about the three, buddhi and that. Then what about the others? Samanya karana vrittihi pranadya vayava pancha. Now here comes the prana. Only here we have the discussion of prana in Sankhya Darshana. Sankhya says this prana is common function or modification of all the indriyas. Prana is not a different entity. Prana has nothing separate. The common function of all these indriyas, I mean 10 plus 3, now we have 13. So common function of all these 13 is called prana. Now how it is prana? Because without energy, without vital energy, this indriya cannot function. So prana is functioning through these indriyas, and prana is not separated from these indriyas. So this is a special concept of Sankhya. Because in our Yoga Shastra and other places we learn prana is something different. But Patanjali Yoga follows the same thing. The prana is like that. Therefore, when you control prana or through prana, you can do samyama of all indriyas, including mind, ahankara, buddhi and everything is controlled. Because this is a general function or what you say, common function of indriyas. So that is said, samanya karana vrittihi. In Vedanta, prana is produced from Maya's Rajasamsa, Samashti Rajasamsa. So from Samashti Rajoguna, the prana comes. That is the theory in Vedanta. You learn in Tattvabodha and all those. But here it is not like that. Here Rajas is not producing anything. Last Karikas we discussed this. So here Samanya Karana Vritti, Pranadya, Vayavaha, Pancha. We have 5 kinds of prana. Prana, Pano, Dana, Vyana, Samana. So these 5 are there. Now, how to understand this? How this Samanya Karana Vritti can be said as prana? It's only through this energizing or the energy is connected to this. We can see only the vital energy inside. And this energy is produced from many forms, many sources. Energy is produced from air, mainly we can say oxygen from air, and water, and food, and from good contact. Good contact means no, if you are having a good contact of sattvic contact, then from there also you get energy. That is very subtle. No? So how you understand that? If you stand nearby a tree, now scientifically we can say when you stand nearby a tree you will get more oxygen, so your mind will be relaxed. But you don't take tree, you take a flower. So you are standing nearby a flower. So you feel good energy. And you feel, what you say, more enjoy and thing inside. So this you can see in children, small children. So they are very much connected to objects. So with that object they get energy. They forgot eating food even. So how they get energized? Because of good contact. So it means even sparsha can give energy. Touch can give energy. So we have a diksha, touch diksha. So the touch gives, through touch diksha, we can give energy like that. So therefore when we are in a good friendship, so we get energized. If you are not getting energized, no, you will not have a friendship again. So it's something happening there. So you are not eating food, not drinking, but oxygen is always there. That is there. But other than that, in addition to that, we are getting some extra energy in good contact. Similarly, when we pray and we sit for prayers and we connect ourselves with God or the omnipresence of God, so we are energized. So we do puja and we concentrate on certain objects, so we get energized. When we listen to a good music, you are energized. So it means we can say, now scientifically we can say mind is relaxed, so you feel energized, relaxed. But here it is not only with the mind, but mind is again functioning with the prana. Without prana, mind cannot function. So when you listen to a music, mind is functioning, that's okay. Your mind is relaxed. But hearing that sound, you are getting some extra energy, some pure energy. So you have a different kind of experience. So you are, what you say, feeling good and energized. Now we have music healing, sounds healing, smell healing, touch healing. So many healings are there. How you get? So somebody asked this question, then I answered with this connection of this Sankhya. Because only Sankhya says such things. You cannot find in other philosophies. Because how the smell is healing, how the smell can heal your energy. Because healing means not only through mind, no. So physically also you are feeling good. And the disease is cured. It may take a little more time, but some curing is happening there. So if curing is happening, definitely prana is working. Of course, mind is also there. So this way, they are applying this prana as a general force, general power of all indriyas. So all the 13, 10 plus 3 has this power, samanya vritti. Now here, there are so many confusions about this Karika. If you read different translation, different commentaries, you will get different ideas. And you may think what Swamiji said is totally different. You will not get accurate or correct commentary on this. Because this wording itself is confusing. Samanya vritti, karana, dya, vayava, we have no other reference. How we can say this? But we have, I got some reference in Vyasa Bhashya, Patanjali Yoga Darshana. It is repeated there because the same thing is repeated there. So there it is said, Samasta Indriya Vrittihi Pranadi Lakshana Jivanam. It says in Vyasa Bhashya, it's not in Sutra. You can see Sutra 331, Patanjala Yoga Darshana 339, sorry, not 31, 39. In that Sutra Bhashya, when you see, there is a sentence in Bhashya, Samasta Indriya Vrittihi, Pranadi Lakshana, Jivanam. Now, what is life? He is defining the life. What is life? So, we say prana as life force. No? So, what is life? He says, Samasta Indriya Vrittihi. Samasta means all. Pranadi Lakshana. This pranati, prana, apana, vyana and all these five is called life because this is functioning in all indriyas. So samasta indriya vritti. It is a general force for all indriyas, and that general force is called jivanam, is called life, and that is what you are experiencing, life through energy. So now what is life? Life is energy. If energy is not created, no, there is no life. No indriya can protect your body because they need energy. If there is no energy, you are dead. So the indriyas cannot produce energy. The energy is produced and supplied to indriyas, and they are all only consumers. So they are consuming the energy, not creating the energy. These indriyas. Mind is also consuming the energy. Mind is not creating the energy. So, what is creating the energy? The prana is creating the energy. So, which energy is created by prana. Now, when we see scientifically how the energy is created. So, energy is created through food and water and oxygen, air. So, these three goes together and then the cell creates the energy. There also you see, I already said that from food after processing, because food itself is not energy. There is a long process to create energy from the food. So after creating the energy, after you eat the food, and then the process, once the process is completed, the energy is created in the cells, and that needs food as well as oxygen and then water and everything is needed there. Then this energy which is created is called prana there in the cells. Why? Because that goes to blood as oxygen or oxygen particles. They become oxygen particles in the blood, and it goes to the blood and goes to the brain, and brain is activated. And when brain gets enough energy through this process, then you are feeling fresh, good. So therefore, in between and after the process of food, what is happening there is called pranavritti. The all function is called pranavritti. So in that the breathing is also there. Breathing is just a part of, like eating food, we are breathing. Drinking water, similarly we are breathing. So breathing is also like eating only. It's also supplying some oxygen and things like that. So this process can be called prana. Now why it is called prana? Because Sankhya says prana is always always active. Active means chanchala. Its prana is always chala. Because energy has momentum. Where there is energy, it has some momentum. Some spandana is there. Something is happening there. Or if it is not, that is not prana. If any changes happen, any manifestation happens, that is also because of energy, and that is because of prana. That the new object become old after some times, so some changes are happening there. So that is also because of prana, and because of prana we are getting energy, and that energy is used in different level. for indriyas and working the all body functions. This is how prana is defined in Sankhya Darshana. We have seen this, we can see in Yoga Darshana also the same thing. Okay. Om Purnamataha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.